Hi, and welcome to this week's The Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Joanne Cole from BrokerIQ, and Joanne was on the podcast back in October 2023. So it's 18 months since Joanne came originally onto the podcast to talk about BrokerIQ and what it was and how it was helping and supporting brokers. So what I wanted to do is get back onto the podcast. 18 months is such a long time in the mortgage broker space, a long time in the technology space as well. So what I want to do is get back on just to explain what's happened over that 18 months, where they are now as a business, the rebranding that they've got coming up as well, and how she's helping and supporting brokers with client retention, client journey, post sale, and a lot of other things besides. So yeah, let's just get Joanne onto the podcast. So welcome back onto the podcast, Joanne. How are you?
I'm great, Craig. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm delighted to be back here with you this morning.
No, thank you. Thank you for agreeing. Very busy lady, which we'll get into and we'll talk about. But I appreciate you taking the time to come back on. It's 18. I know we had a brief conversation before we hit record, but 18 months since you were on the podcast, and wow, things have changed so much in the broker space in that 18 months. And we're going to talk about what's happening with you and Broker IQ and the brand and everything else. But yeah, just so much has happened in that period of time. And I cannot believe it's 18 months since you were last on the podcast.
No, neither can I. It just seems to have flown by. It seems like yesterday we were here and delighted to be back with you today, Craig, to discuss. I just feel like the market in general has been just so busy and there's been so many changes and continual pressure on our advisors as usual. So it's good to be back here to catch up.
No, no, definitely. Thank you. So, for those people that haven't listened to that, it was back in October 2023. If people want to listen back to the original podcast, but for those that haven't listened to that podcast or don't know who you are, do you want to just do a brief introduction?
Absolutely. Well, I am the founder of a piece of technology called BrokerIQ. We've been on the market for a number of years now. We're a customer engagement platform or a client experience platform. And I decided that I would build the technology after spending some time in the mortgage advisor space. My particular passion was on the protection market, and I felt like advisors really needed a tool that sat on the front end that helped them communicate with their clients, provide all of their documents and all their information to them. And that is really the core basis of what we are at Broker IQ. We've grown so much over the last number of years, and we have so many more features added to the technology and benefits for our advisors. So I look forward to discussing that today.
Absolutely not. Like I say, loads to talk about. So if you can remember back 18 months when I can get my words out, remember back 18 months. Where was Broker IQ at that point in October 2023? Can you remember where you were at as a business at that time?
We were probably still very early on in our journey. We had a piece of technology that was on the market. We had probably a number of advisors and early adopters using our technology at that stage. We've grown considerably since then. So we have many more advisors using our technology now, and we're, speaking to the larger networks and enterprise customers at this stage. And yeah, I look back at that time and even look at our features and where we were then and what we're doing now, and it's like chalk and cheese, to be honest.
Did I say I was looking at your website before we've recorded before you came on and looking at like your website's totally different. I can remember like in terms of what you're looking at in terms of the customer engagement platform now, it is clearly sort of good to see how far you've grown as a business over that time because I can clearly see and I love the engage, I love the automate, and I love the retain because that for me, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come back on the podcast because the retain side of things for me is a key for every single broker, short term, long term. I think it is just a massive thing that brokers can miss out on so much opportunity from past clients because they're just worried about the front end, generating leads, new clients, and do forget about their existing clients who were new clients, who they worked so hard to get that
Mhm.
client in the first place. And I think that's one. I know we're going to talk about other things. I know you're now into the wealth space. We're going to talk about the protection space as well, and looking at that in more detail. But retains a big thing. Is that what was the sort of spark that started broker IQ in the first place? Like say you was a broker, so what was that sort of? Do you know what? This is the opportunity. So what was that?
And it was just funny. I put a post on LinkedIn last week because, in its very simplest form, it sort of picked with one of my first clients. So, I suppose our USP is that we focus on the protection side of the business. So that's always been where my passion is. We're in the mortgage space, we're in the more protection space. We've now moved into the wealth space, but our USP is our protection journey. And for me, it was about that client that you took on board. Maybe it was the mortgage process, maybe they took a protection policy. But for me, it was only just on the protection that I had done a case with. It was one of my first clients. Um, he was a really big client. He took 7 policies from me at that time. Those policies were spread out over a number of the providers. We had Aviva, we had Guardian, we had LV. I spent considerable time building his case, working with his family, getting him the best cover that was suitable for him and his family. And at the very end of that process, I printed out all of his policies. I put them into a A4 lever arch folder, and I presented this to my client and I said, there you go. And I thought at that stage, well, haven't I done a great job because I have done this for him? One of my very first clients, give myself a pat in the back. No, I didn't. I thought, oh my goodness, in this day and age, is this what I'm really presenting to my client? There is no digital element to this. As an advisor, do I want to push them into 7 different portals or 7 different mobile applications? No, it becomes confusing. And yet I had presented, if you need anything, go to this folder. If you need, give me a call. But there was no ability for me to reach that client, to send them a message, for them to even access in a digital capacity if they needed me at any stage, even to make a claim. And that was really, in its essence, the reason that I built what was Broker IQ. At the time, it actually initially was called Review It because it was about policies and reviewing policies. And then as I got more into the space, it became that tool to engage with your clients, to retain those clients and to reach out to them and to be there when they needed you most. And that might have been through the mortgage process, or it might have been through the protection process. And I suppose, as I said before, our USP is in protection. And I think, given that, if you're a mortgage advisor and you're selling protection, or you're a protection advisor and people are taking products from you, what is the tool that you're going to use to communicate with those clients past the point of sale? Back then, I didn't know about consumer duty. I didn't know about any market studies that would be happening. It just, to me, made common sense that I should not be presenting my client with a paper folder that they may put in the bottom drawer and never look at again, and they were going to be paying considerable amount of money every month for these, for the benefits of these. And that wasn't even on the added benefit. There was lots of add-on benefits then that, there was no digital reminders of what they had or where to access them. So that, in its very core purpose, was exactly why we built Broker IQ. Um, and we've grown tremendously since then.
And I think, like I say, because you've had that experience with a client, thinking about sort of how can we not just accepting this is the process and this is how it's going to be. It's then thinking actually there must be a better way than of doing this. And every brokers, we will all have those things of there's a better way we could do this, there's a better way we could do that within the process from a mortgage broker's point of view and protection advisor's point of view. But very rarely people actually do something about it. Like for you, fair play. You've actually thought, you know what? Because I will not even know where to start thinking, right, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's like, okay, yeah, I've got this great idea. Okay, well, how does that sort of then become sort of to reality? So, I don't, like I say, it's that sort of where things are generally left is like, yeah, we could do this better, but I'm too busy and I don't know how we can do this better. So I'll just keep doing as we're doing it. Whereas you've been sort of the champion for change, really, in terms of that space. Like I said, particularly around the protection side of things, which is like your USP, and that's sort of the big thing for you, purely because Broker IQ. It's not Broker IQ anymore. Is it like have you rebranded or you rebranding or?
It's the worst rebranding kept secret in the industry because we sort of we sort of did a bit of a soft launch last summer. We're still a startup, so things don't always happen in with lots of precision, I suppose. So yes, we are fully rebranding to Your Advisor Here over the next couple of months. So we will become Your Advisor Here, which I think just is much softer, and it's for everybody, and it insinuates exactly what our brand is about. It's about your advisor being here, because we were very much built for the intermediary advisor market. That's our space, and we're here. We at the core of our technology was always to support the advisor and support the end user. That was the real ethics, I suppose, or ethos behind our technology, and it's always been the same. So I feel like Your Advisor Here just sort of sums all of that up in exactly the right way, and it's easier for people to accept and to hear and to understand, I suppose. And yeah, to your point, what made me sit up and actually do this? I don't think I meant to do it, Craig, to be honest. I don't think I set out to build a whole company and be here so many years later. In fact, I know I didn't. I think I was fairly new into the industry, and I think that helps because I wasn't, the advisor
Yeah.
world, it's a challenge for everybody. You get down into the processes and you do your best for everybody. Whereas I think I was at that very early stage where it was new to me. I'm a qualified teacher, as I hide from nobody. My background's in data analysis and digital transformation. So I think what attracted me to the industry was the data and the wanting to do something with that. So for me, it was, I don't think I could just accept that we had all of this data and that this data could actually do something really good for the end user and for the advisor, but there wasn't a system there for that. I didn't mean to build a system for hundreds of advisors or thousands of clients like we now have. I built it for my own practice, really, I suppose, as I was growing as an advisor, and it gained some traction. COVID hit, so then digital became more, important in the industry, and communicating with those clients in different means became much more important. So I think that was really the catalyst that made me do it. And also, my brother was a software developer. That's the key point, because as I
Yeah,
had an
just
idea,
drop that in there. Oh yeah.
forgot about that. Forgot about that. So during COVID, he was kind of building the technology while I was giving him the ideas. So I suppose that's how. And then it sort of grew. It sort of grew as a concept and grew as an idea, and then we were able to raise investment off the back of our concept and idea, and we've sort of grown steadily since then. And thankfully, it has been a good idea, and people do want to use it. So it's
No,
it's
and fairly, you've got testimonials on your website. Obviously, you've grown the business in terms of the brokers that you are working with now, and you've got good testimonials on your website, which is, like you say, you've got great feedback from there. In terms of, do you want to sort of really strip it back from if I'm a broker that's like totally, totally green, can you sort of, I hit your website and I got, well, you talk about branding. As soon as I go on your website, I'm getting the new branding. So I don't know how we sort of like not. I've got a little flash thing coming up with the new brand anyway. So I don't know if it's sort of a big secret or not. But when you sort of so when you look at, I'm a totally new broker and I've going as sole trader. I'm a one man band and I've been a broker before, but just going self employed. Giving you that as an example, strip it back to basics of what does broker IQ do? What part of the process does it come in, and what is it fundamentally, a CRM, or is it like what do you know, like, so I'm just trying to think back to basics for somebody that's sort of not seen it
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, and that's a very stereotypical type of a client for us, is somebody who's maybe leaving, going self-employed, becoming DA, and they're going out on their own, and that's a really good time to actually start a new system of your own. So no, we're not a CRM. We fought very hard in the industry over the last number of years to differentiate ourselves from the CRM. I never want to become a CRM, and we are very clearly not a CRM. We are all about the customer experience, the client engagement part of that, and a lot of it is the post sale. However, we do have processes that you can use from the very start of your journey with your clients. If you're a DA and you have new clients or existing clients, or if you're part of a network, you can go for your own branded app, or you can go for a Your Advisor Here app. And we are app based. We sit at the front end of the customer journey. So when your client comes in, just like you would with your bank, maybe you would say, look, it's Craig Skelton here. We have our own app. want you to download the app and we will communicate with you and follow the processes through their app. So you are getting your own brand if you choose. They onboard themselves and it's like a very mini fact find. So they would onboard and then you can do all of your process through that. So the process as part of our technology is very polished and very refined. You have your own messaging tool, just like WhatsApp. You can set up templates, you can schedule messages to go out, you can receive documents from your clients. But probably, again, I'm going to say, Craig, that is only a very small part of our technology. And it was probably something that got most of our advisors on board. But now that we're up and running a couple of years, we are very much about that post sale. So once you have all those processes in, we now have the ability to put your policies onto your app, to put your mortgages onto your app, and we take over that post sale journey so that you're not having to sit there with them. One of the reasons I built this was that I found that the technology that was on the market, and it has dramatically improved over the years. There's some I'm very friendly with a lot of the CRM systems that are out there, and I think now they don't see me as a threat to them. Um, but the post-sale communication is still something we're going to drive clients into portals, and the portals have got better, but they're not going to do the post-sale communication. You know, they're going to send an email to tell you to log into your portal, and the client's it's just the instant barrier. Whereas we're doing that very effortlessly through your brand with your own engagement. We're automating that process. We now have AI built into that, and we're extending that further. The clients can log in, they can see their mortgage schedule, they can see all their policies, they can receive educational videos. The education piece was so important for me when I was building this. You know, again, a lot to do with the protection. What policies do I have? Why do I have those policies? What does this mean for me? You can get regular triggers on your add-on benefits, you know, which is also not only just really important for the retention of a mortgage or a protection advisor, but also now with consumer duty that we are doing the best from our clients, and that we are providing somewhere for clients to go to easily access their products, but also receive the benefits that they have. Maybe it's your 24-hour GP. I mean, it's no use to you if you don't know where it is, you know, if you don't know how to access it. We've a new make a claim button, which triggers a notification to you guys as an advisor so that you can be more engaged in that process with your end user. So I suppose to summarize it, we have great tools for the very start of the process, getting clients onboarded because that's part of it. But really our USP is that post-sale journey. The client relationship does not stop when you complete your mortgage process or your protection policies. It continues very much after that. And again, we're here to support the advisor market, that you're not driving them into other portals and other apps that is going to cut you out of the journey.
No, and I really appreciate, John, you giving that clarity, because like now I understood it anyway, but they're thinking just from you've explained who your typical client kind of will be and is, and I think that's the thing, is that especially when like being self-employed, running your own firm, you're busy trying to generate business, and you do forget about your client retention because you've signed them up, you've got the profit, you've done the protection, you've done everything you need to do, you've earned your money, you've got your broker fee, you've earned your money, you're not going to do anything now for the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever the case may be. And I think you tend then to forget, because you are cash flow forecast at the beginning, you forget about the retention. And it's not until several years down the line that you think, oh, I need to work, I do need to. Whereas you need to get it right from the start. With client retention, it's not something you can think, oh, 2 years later, 3 years later, oh, I need to get my process right for that now and worry
Mhm.
about that then, and then getting people into that kind of process, which is obviously worst case scenario. But what you want to do is get that process right from the start. When people's circumstances change, you're looking to move home, or things like divorces, the not so nice stuff happens, like the divorces and things like that. It's then you want them to make sure that you're the forefront of their mind, whatever happens. And I think, and they've got access to you, access to the documents. They've got total clarity and very easily available, where they can go to one place and go, that's my advisor. That is still going. There's my mortgage document. There's my policies. And it's all in one place at a
Mhm.
time when, think about the not so nice things with regards to claiming on the protection. It's sort of like what, like I know what I'm like. I've got a. I'm now thinking I've got an LV plan. I've got an Aviva plan. I've got a Vitality plan. All these different things going on, and if something happened, sort of like which like is there's not one place where sort of everything's there for me.
Well, it's even the, I suppose consumer duty is also a big concern because, it's about providing that transparency and demonstrating your duty of care for that end user as well. And especially when it comes to protection, giving them out a policy that they may have add-on benefits on, and they don't know where it is or how to utilize that, then becomes a real problem with consumer duty, because are we really doing our duty of care? And I suppose I often think about the providers, and it's something my advisors always say to me, and I have to be very careful because I have a lot of providers that are friendly with me, and very much value what we're doing. Um, but what support are we really getting from the providers for the advisors to really help with that protection journey? Because when you do, I don't like to use the word sell a protection product, but when you advise on a protection product and you give it to your client, that's a big thing. When they're paying for it every month, and it's you need to know that it's going to be there for them when they need it most, and that they can access it easily, and that they understand what they have. So being able to document that and evidence that, and automate a lot of that throughout that journey, I think is really important. It takes a lot of the liability off you guys as advisors who are using it every day. So that has been a core part of our technology, is that there's the automation, there's the transparency of the policy, that there's the regular and relevant touch points on a client's journey. As you say, maybe it's at those big moments in their life where they're moving house, they're having a baby, that you're there for them at that stage, and that they know to reach out to you. I do know a case um recently that an advisor was telling me about a client of theirs who's quite sick, and they didn't realize they had global treatment, and the advisor, when he found out, has been doing the best that he can to sort of facilitate that. And I just wonder if they had a known earlier what could have been done, because I know cases in our own area where people have availed of global treatment, and I think it's one of the best. It was always one add-on benefit that I used. Um, for my clients, I know people in my own area who have availed of that, and it has made a dramatic improvement in their lives. But I know the advisor who sells that, or provides that for the clients, is very active in our community and in and you sort of know that people are going to be able to access that. But in some cases, maybe they're not. Maybe the policy's there and they don't know they have it. So, how can we make sure that these benefits are tangible and are there for people when they need them most? And that is something I'm so deeply passionate about. And I wonder how the providers are helping the advisor community to actually do something about that.
It's a good point because I don't like it is how many clients have we got? And even as a broker, you'll have gone through the like we take global treatment as an example. What does that actually mean? Now, yes, you as a broker will have gone through that with a client at the beginning. You would hope, in terms of, I mean, it's an add-on benefit that you will have gone through. But how many things is it going into a client's head at the point of sale? Like all these things are going in. And if you're doing the protection conversation at the same time as the mortgage, they've got so much going on at a stressful time. How, like, and that's not the broker's fault that the client may not have retained the fact that they've got global treatment,
Mm-hmm.
understanding what that is, or waiver of premium, like whatever the terminology is, and the add-on benefit is of their policy. Probably waiver premium is not a good example, but things like global treatment, which are key, and when people need that second opinion at that critical time, like really sort of time is of the essence, can be with a lot of people as well in those kind of situations. And they say is they may have bought into it at the time, but then not understand it, and then need to claim on it, and not even understood that they had this policy in the
Mm-hmm.
first place. But the broker did their job, and like you say, consumer duty is just a case of it's not just the
Mm-hmm.
tick box at the start of the journey with the client, it's the ongoing annual thing with regards to, is that still relevant for that client? Is this client still going to get value from that? Which is, it's scary, but it's also key for brokers as well to understand that they've got to have retention as part of their annual conversations with every single
Mm-hmm.
client, which is not easy and will take time, but it's what they're gonna have to do.
Yeah, and that's where I think the digital comes in, because the more you can automate that, and as I say, I'm a big fan of the video education. All of our advisors use video throughout the platform, whether it's to welcome clients on board, or to speak through the mortgage process, or to give to talk about the policies that they have, so that yes, you've had that conversation with them, but they may also have had a video to watch, to really, and you can see if they have, read the message or that the video has been played. That becomes really important in that post-sale journey. And again, it's your annual review. We do a lot with the annual reviews. We actually are also connected to iPipeline. That's been a big change for us in the last number of years. I don't think I was partnered with iPipeline when I was last on the
No, no, he was no,
last on the
no.
podcast. So, I think that protection journey and that retention and the annual reviews and going back to look at that client, and providing a digital system that shouldn't cause you guys any more um effort as an advisor, but that sort of takes over that post-sale journey, whether it's an automated video out or whether it's an automated message to remind them their annual reviews coming up, or even to profile them. Maybe they're self-employed and they haven't taken their income protection, to say, look, we we also, advise that you have your income protection. We spoke about this. Maybe this is something you'd like to have a conversation. And I'm a big fan of, not this is not a pushy post-sale engagement. This is I'm here to do my job and this is what we have acknowledged and we are letting you know, and we're here if you need us. And the advisor, then, it's never to replace that relationship for the advisor. It's just to automate that post-sale communication, to educate the client, to provide that transparency. And I think, you know, the pure protection market study and the consumer duty regulation has been very worthwhile and very needed for the protection of the advisors. And I think our technology really helps with that, so that it doesn't leave all of the onus on you guys, that it's there to help you digitize that and document and evidence that you are doing the best for your client.
I think that's it. Like, if you brokers will be sat here thinking this all sounds very good, but annual reviews, and I ain't got him time to do the stuff that's on my desk at the moment. Never mind annual reviews. And I think that's, you've got to, obviously, from a wealth space or pension investment advisors are just used to the annual reviews. That's what they have to do year in, year out. And there's been a big piece recently with the FCA about the fees with annual reviews, and it was quite positive in terms of the findings that came from that, from the firm's point of view. And I think it was quite a worrying time for the industry. But I think with regards to consumer duty, like, brokers have got to have the understanding that they've got to have that regular check-in with the client. They cannot just leave them for the next 5 years and say, "Thanks very much, it's relevant now, but it might not be relevant in 5 years' time, but that's not my problem." It is your problem as a broker. It is your
Mm.
responsibility to ensure that those products are fit and purpose and proper now, as they were back when you signed the mortgage up 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the case may be. So if I'm a broker sat here thinking, "I'm too busy to do all this, Joanne," and it's sort of leading on to that, when you what you said there about technology side of things. So when we look at helping out the brokers with regards to who haven't got time, well, maybe this is where the technology will come in. What does that technology and AI look like from your point of view with regards to post-sale communication with brokers' existing clients?
Um, Well, I suppose we're not connected, and that one of our barriers is that we're not connected to the CRMs. And we do offer to be connected, and some of the CRMs are opening up to this. That's a challenge in the industry, but we have built to be that we are standalone. We have built to be standalone. And I suppose that's one of the elements in that we have our new autofill, where you can just drag and drop a document, and it populates and then automates the post-sale journey, so that we are not requiring any integration to CRMs. And it's literally a matter of seconds. And that once that's done, that then starts the post-sale journey for you. So your annual reviews would be triggered off that, your education about what the client holds, and your gap analysis would be triggered off that. So we would be running a profile on the client at any given time. If they have a mortgage and they maybe have a life and critical illness, but they haven't got an income protection policy and they're self-employed, we would be regularly reminding the advisor to do something. And you can trigger reminders out to the client if you wish on that as well. We also are connected with iPipeline, as I said before, and you can run quick quotes from them at the start of the journey, or throughout the post-sale journey. You can do the same for the mortgage process. If you want to review that mortgage, or the renews coming up or the reviews coming up, you can do a countdown from as far as a year out for that mortgage, and that's all automated. And I think you did highlight on a really good point there, that a lot of our advisors, or a lot of the advisors, I mean, I have to say, are excellent and are like they're doing a lot of this. They're doing it manually and it is time consuming. And one of the issues that we have seen is that maybe it's just not documented and evidenced all of the time that they are picking up the phone and they are reaching out to that client. And I think that's something that we can do and we do very well, is that we automatically we're evidencing and documenting that throughout our technology, where we can see this notification has gone out, this message has gone out, the client has read that message, and that you're able to take them on that more automated digital journey as opposed to picking up the phone. Because I think advisors do a good job of it, but it's just more manual, and it's a more time consuming process. And we're just trying to bring that a bit more digital and to document and evidence that throughout.
I think, but the thing is with what you've created, it's in one space. The thing is the client communication, the updates, the sort of the documentation and all the things that's happening post sale, like you said, is not is a bolt on from a CRM. You're not looking to replace a client's CRM. People are very precious around their CRMs, and the CRM creators are very precious about their
Mhm.
CRMs. And people who are then working with a good CRM are very precious about that, because if they get one working that's right for them, it's a good place to be. What you're talking about in terms of is the post sale, and I think if that with regards to, well, it's the same with anything. It's like like with my clients, I've got, yeah, I'll look at, oh, did they WhatsApp me? Was it on email? Were they on Messenger on Facebook, or was it, how did they communicate with me? Was it on LinkedIn? Where was the communication, and where's the communication after with regards to that one place? Because then after I've had meetings with them, it's then, well, I'll WhatsApp them, or I'll email them if they email me in the first place. Whereas what you're talking about, if I'm getting this right, is the post sale. If then FCA got involved and said, Craig, you're not doing your annual reviews with that particular client. And I'm going, yeah, I am, but I've got evidence of phone call. I'm trying to look through my WhatsApps. I'm trying to look through my emails and my messages and all the other things as well. But actually, if there's that one place where you've got that, right, that's what the client's had this is the date that's had this, they've had this date, and it's all automated, and it's a seamless process that works for the broker. That's just gonna take so much stress and drama out of a broker's life.
Mhm. Absolutely. And also doing the best for your client. The
Yeah,
client
yeah,
now has one place to go. So the client, as I say, I built this for the advisor and for the end user, so that scenario that I encountered at the start of my journey would not happen again. That I would be able to say, there you go, here it is, and I'll be in contact with you regularly. And you can access it all here. And if you need me, you go to my app instead of going to a paper file to think, do I phone me? Do I phone the provider? How do I do this? Or maybe one of those providers or mortgage companies gets out there before I realize that I'm supposed to be contacting the advisor or the client. So, there's the system has benefits for the advisor and also very much benefits for the end user.
yeah. No, I think that's right. It's a good point that I've not picked up on there, but it is all about the client journey and the client. It is client's experience, and it's also as well. It's sort of with regards to the app. Obviously, clients are using the app. You've got to give them the reason to not delete the app off the phone and get rid, and like think, oh, I'm clearing out my phone. I've got a new phone. I'm going to clutter out get rid of all my old apps and things like that. If I've got all my policy documents in one place,
Mhm.
and I'm far less likely to get rid of that app purely because well, it's got everything that I need, and I will be using it, and I do need to know what I've got and when, because you never know when you're going to need the information, and they need to be there at your fingertips because it is all in that digital space.
hmm Yeah, and actually, we've been receiving actually quite a lot recently. I think as we just grow, we don't communicate with the end users, so we would never be in communication with the clients, the advisor's clients, unless the advisor asked us to do something with them or it was a technology issue. And it would always come from the advisor asking us. But advisors are asking their clients for reviews, and I have to say that's one of the best reviews that we get from the end user. Is that I think there was one last week, it was the best thing from sliced bread, because they had everything in the one place. Now this advisor gone the extra mile and put their car insurance on, their home insurance, they had travel insurance on.
Oh,
So now they
okay.
had a full portfolio. And that advisor was very savvy because now they're getting more regular engagement. Your car insurance is up for renewal. Remember to contact them. They don't do car insurance, obviously, but they can, it's convenient. It's a nice thing to do for your clients. So I think they had gone and put all of the clients' policies on. So this client now had a full portfolio of their protection alongside their mortgage. So they were now had a full, we would call that a full client profile. We're now able to see, and that's something the industry I think has really struggled with over the years. And I'm not saying we have the solution to that because that was the advisor took their initiative to do that. But that client now has their mortgage. They had all of their life, their critical illness, their income protection, their health, their car, and their home, and their travel was on there as well. So they had a full portfolio.
Wow.
Um,
That,
which I thought was very, it was a lovely testimonial to get. So we get more and more end user feedback from our advisors that how convenient it is to have everything in the one place and they don't feel in the dark. And their add-on benefits, I can't emphasize that enough. You know, the studies coming out about Gen Z, especially, um, and those younger generations who do want who do see the value in protection at a younger age. You know, it's how we reach them. But especially they're really keen on those add-on benefits that they are having. Maybe it's a free coffee if it's the health, or maybe it's 24/7 GP, or you know, whatever benefits they have. Therapy sessions, a big thing. You know, it's important that those add-on benefits are there and easy to access for the clients, that they're triggered, that they're reminded they have 24-hour GP. You just don't know, like myself over the last number of years, what young mums sitting at night time can't get a doctor's appointment and just need to see a doctor, and they don't realize they have 24/7 GP. I have used it for that.
it, and that's the thing is that when you look at this, that's one of the objections. When you look at one of the objections from which is a little bit sideways step with what we're talking about, but from a broker's point of view, s the client objections they get when they're talking about like you're right, what you said earlier on in the podcast. You never sell protection's not a sale. It never will be, never should be that,
Right.
never will be that. But brokers will have objections from clients, from younger clients, first time buyers who say, I've seen it firsthand. My mum and dad have told me I don't need that. My mum and dad said I don't need that. Mum and dad said, oh, they didn't have that. They never needed that. So I'm not taking that out. And it's a case of like, like what you've highlighted there is the world and human beings in such a different space when did they take their mortgage out 1970, 1960, 80? What was the world was in such a different place back then
Hmm.
to where it is now. So the needs of like you look at the added benefits that you talk about and you really are like I know you're into those into detail. Those are the benefits are massive, and I know firsthand, like you were talking there, and I'm smiling because I know that my mum's needed a GP recently, and she whinges and moans about GP. Well, I got 24/7 GP on Vitality, and I daren't tell her because then I'll know she'll sort of go off on a tangent, sort of talking about why have I not got that? But if you think about the mentality of the and obviously I'm not even in that the like the young generation in terms of buying houses where people are right now, is that those kind of protection policies need to be talked about, need to understand what those other benefits are, and then how they access those other benefits. Is like you say, we are seeing more younger people taking out protection plans because of those other benefits of mental awareness, of 24/7 GPs, and those things that have never been available before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I also think that the protection space is changing. I am so passionate about the protection space, if you can't tell, and I do a lot of work in this in the protection space specifically. But I think perceptions are starting to change as well in the younger generations about, you're right, there's a generation, I suppose, that are so, and I made it, meet them every day. People think I sell protection, that the people outside of our industry don't know that I don't sell protection. Um, but you know, I meet them and they think that it's, you know, they're not going to get their claim, or you know, they don't need protection or and things like that. And I think that was also one of the reasons why I built the technology crowd, because I saw firsthand how my advisor, who was the most incredible man, and still is working to this day, was able to help people in the most difficult stages of their lives. And I was a wee bit taken aback. I was like, I didn't really, you don't see that. You don't see that side of things, and I think that's where it stemmed from. I think that's why I went down that road and why I thought, you know what, I'd like to actually work in this industry as an advisor at that stage. Now I'm on a different path with the technology side of it, but I think people's perceptions, the younger generations, they're more savvy, they're more aware. The industry's done a much better job of getting those younger generations involved, and changing their perceptions of maybe their mums and dads. It's sensible now to be protected and to know that the insurance companies are there for you when you need them. And I think it's our job to then provide them with a digital solution that they've become used to accessing in every other element of their lives, whether it's Amazon and that instant connectivity, that it's not good enough to hand them an A4 folder and say, there's your protection policies, if it's their mortgage stage and they're going to take it out. I suppose that's just something I'm exceptionally passionate about, and I think our technology really solves that problem.
No, definitely, and it's a really good point in terms of, and that it's interesting to hear that's how this all started in the first place. So, which is it's an interesting story to bring it all around. So we understand like of your past, where you are currently in the rebranding. Any plans for the future? What sort of any other sort of things that are going on with regards to the platform and the space, and what does the future look like?
Oh my goodness, there's so much happening. There's so much, and I suppose that we're really focusing on that post-sale journey, Craig, and making it easier for the advisors to access it. That is, you know, we have lots of features coming, lots of tools coming where, it's a real benefit for the advisors, and it really helps them with their day-to-day life and helps them with their post-sale journey. AI obviously, and I don't like to bat it about too much. We have some AI and we do some AI autofill, but we have quite good plans. We were starting to work on some AI projects now. In the agent space, I suppose there's a lot out there about agent AI and how we can help. And I suppose that's one of the elements that we will be looking at over the next couple of months. We've moved into the wealth space, so we will be building out our proposition in that area as well. And yeah, lots
Plenty going
coming.
on. Plenty going on. I think that's like you said that there. Like I'm with regards to AI. I think hear brokers that are scared of AI, thinking, "Oh, it's going to take over the world or take over their roles." I'm still the firm believer now that we just need to embrace AI. They will never replace
Mhm,
brokers. People will always need that one-to-one experience, that face-to-face or over the phone or virtually, in terms of talking and communicating with a qualified, experienced mortgage broker. But let's just embrace technology to make
mhm.
AI work for us in terms of the things that we don't enjoy doing, or the things that we don't have time to do, or the things we don't want to do. So let's just use AI for that bit, and we can then just focus on the good stuff that we do enjoy doing, which is the customer interactions. That's what brokers enjoy doing. It getting people in their
Absolutely.
homes and finding solutions for problems that clients have. That's what brokers enjoy doing. So
Mhm,
if we can embrace AI, like you said, in terms of the post sale, the retention space and things like that, then well, just embrace it. Just go with the changes and sort of
mhm,
work with people that know what they're doing in that space, but also as well, just go with it and just focus on what you're good at and focus on what you enjoy doing. I think that's fair to say.
mhm. Yeah, and I think it is. Like, I mean, I don't like to talk about it too much because I think I still feel like we've a lot to do with digitizing and processes and systems and interconnectivity and opening up, and we've a lot to do with the end-to-end journey in this space. I sit at the very start of that journey, and at the very end of the journey, we start it and we finish it. But there's a lot to happen there. I think AI can really help that, but um, I don't like to bat it about too much. I think it has to be done very sensibly. And it's not something you can just throw out and expect people to embrace, because I think there's a lot. I mean, we're such a busy industry. Like everybody, I remember, and I work daily with advisors. We're in very, very busy industries where we still get the whole we've always done it that way, and that's something we have to overcome. But we can't expect people to change overnight. So we have to go very softly with that, and try to bring everybody on that journey with us without throwing out AI at them and scaring everybody as well. So I think we're always very mindful of what we're doing, that we're using it simply and easy. Like our autofill is a very easy way to speed up an advisor's life. It's a drag and a drop, and it takes the next part of the journey. It's so simple, it's so easy, it's a matter of seconds. And it's not going to scare anybody. So we're always very careful about what we're doing when it comes to AI.
Absolutely. Joanne, we've chatted for such a long time, 40 something minutes in. So, and it was like we've covered a lot in terms of, so if I'm a broker thinking about and wanting to know more, what's the best way to communicate with you and find out more about you and the platform?
Well, I connect with me on LinkedIn. It's probably the best place to get me. Send me an email at joanne@brokeriq.co.uk. You can go to the website and put an inquiry in through the website. We are currently working on our website. That will be part of our rebrand that's coming out. So yeah, you can go to the website, but we are working on our website at the moment. And yeah,
Oh,
LinkedIn or email
fine.
is
I'll put
best.
the links in the show notes, so don't worry about that. That's fine. Joanne, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for agreeing to come back on, and I'm looking forward to sort of. It's been great to sort of see the journey so far and where you are now, and catch up. And then also as well, when I asked you the question about what's the future look like, you've got a big smile on your face, which says a lot to me in terms of where the future is going with regards to what you're doing for brokers. So thank you so much for agreeing to come back on, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joanne. Thanks for agreeing to come back onto the podcast and being a return guest. Really appreciate it. It was good to catch up, good to understand where Broker IQ is now, how it's developed over the last 18 months, how it's helping brokers, clients, helping the industry in general with regards to post sale and client retention, and a lot of other things besides. And if you are thinking about becoming a self employed mortgage broker, or looking to start your own business and brand, or just looking to accelerate the growth of your existing business, see my website, craigskelton.co.uk, booking a call, just WhatsApp me. Let's just have a chat about how I can help and support you achieve your goals for 2025. And as always, please don't forget to run your own race.